I think, so there's a few different layers to it, right? I think that black people, and this is going to be controversial, I already know it, and, I'm just going to say it anyway. I think black people as a whole are too religious. And I think religion is a big part of the reason why we are so uncomfortable with homosexuality or, anybody who's in the LGBT lifestyle, basically. Like, we're really uncomfortable with that, and I think the main reason is religion. Because black people are very religious. So, Thorny, I'm speaking on black people just because that's who this is focused towards. So, this isn't isolated towards black people, but, anyway, I just saw that comment.
I was addressing that as well too.
But basically, I do think that black people as a whole are very religious, and I think that there is reason for that because it's like obviously we needed something to hold on to and some kind of hope because we were beat down for so long, we were oppressed for so long, and all these different things. We still are to a degree, so I get it, but just from a completely logical, scientific perspective, like I've reached the conclusion that I don't think religion is true. So I think personally that's what kind of holds people back. Because without that, there's really no reason to like what's the other what reasons do people give for not being okay with the quote unquote gay lifestyle? Like what reasons do people give other than religion? Basically, like, well, it says in the Bible that God, made Adam and Eve, and man is supposed to be with woman. And okay, outside of that, what's the reason? There is rarely one. Like, they'll talk about population control and stuff like that or whatever. They'll be like, okay, well, if everybody turned gay tomorrow, then nobody would be able to have kids. It's like, okay, well, that's a really unrealistic perspective because in any given time...
A lot of gay people get surrogates.
And not only that, but in any given time in the human population as well as any other animal on the planet that... practices homosexuality. There's plenty of animals in the planet besides human beings that do it. Any of those populations, it's anywhere from 8 to 12% of the population is gay. So, if that's the case, the whole premise of everybody becoming gay tomorrow, that's an unrealistic thing, because there's always only 8 to 12%. At any given time in history, anywhere on the planet, period. So, that's that. So, again, there's no argument to be against it other than just it makes you uncomfortable or you think it's weird. That's not for you to decide, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I might, again, just like I said on my show the other day, if my brother comes in here wearing a dress, is that going to make me feel weird? Yeah, it's going to make me feel weird, but it's not going to make me hate him. It's not going to make me want him to be unhappy. Like, I'm going to want him to live his life if he figures something out about himself that, he didn't know before or whatever. I'm not going to say that he made that decision because I don't think it's a choice. I don't think it's a decision because I never chose when I started liking women. I just knew at some age that I liked women. So I assume it's the same thing for gay people. I don't think they, choose at 12, you know what? Johnny looks good. I don't think that's how it works. I think it just develops kind of like how it does with us. So when I just look at all the evidence out there, and, I have a few family members as well who are gay, and I see, how some family members treated them compared to how I treated them. Because, they've always, all of my gay cousins have always felt comfortable talking to me about it because they knew I wouldn't, judge them, and they knew I'd still have open arms for them. But, some of their own parents and stuff like that, had big problems with it. And it's so what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose what your holy book says? Or are you going to choose to love your kid, which is real? Your kid's real because your kid's right here. You know what I mean? You brought your kid into the world. You know that love is real. Do you know what your book says is real? Or do you just think what your book says is real? You know what I mean? So I think that's where I'm at with it. I think the biggest problem that black people have with gay people is the fact that they think God doesn't like it.
All right.
I mean, I have to agree. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. I mean, it's not necessarily that I was raised going to church, but I've always felt like there's this emphasis on shaming people for things, and it's just like I feel like the Bible is, I mean, for lack of a better word, it's a book of stories, as a kind of like a guide for how to live your life and be a good person. Like God, I feel like Jesus or God, or however you want to put that, wants us to be good people and love each other. And I don't think that the intended purpose was, hey, let's all go to war because we all have different sects of religion that we made up, or hey, let's hate people because they are different than us. Like, I don't think that was the intended purpose. And so I feel like this is one of those cases where we as humans take something, interpret it the way we want to, and then put it out there in the world as gospel when it isn't. Like, what, and I agree with you, like, what is so horrible about someone being gay? Because it's different. There's a lot of things in the world that are different. There are, that's like, it's insane to me that people are that upset or butthurt about it to where these are your own children and you would choose that over your children. Like you're saying, your children are here. You gave birth to these children. You have raised them. You know who they are as people, and you're more concerned with a book or what your pastor said than your own children. To
Right.
Kids out here that grow up afraid to be themselves or are scared to live in their own truth because of what the people around them are going to say instead of them accepting them for the people they are. Because at the end of the day, I know a lot of gay people, and I assure you that they're way better people than some of the straight ones I know. So if that's the benchmark for getting into heaven, then some of y'all can just give it up now.
Right. And I do.
And then not only that, but like, let's real quick, I just want to say this too, like, and people cherry pick, right? So the part of the Bible that says that basically being gay is an abomination in the eyes of God, that's in Leviticus, right? In the exact same passage in Leviticus, it says you're not allowed to eat shrimp. It says you're not allowed to eat shellfish of any kind. It says you're not allowed to wear a mix of two different fabrics as clothes. So if you're wearing a cotton t-shirt, jeans,
no tattoos,
no piercings, no
cutting
tattoos.
your hair. No haircut.
no
and
shaving ever. If your wife's on her period, she's supposed to sleep outside. Like, these are all things that are in that same passage. Nobody says anything about any of that other shit. They only focus on but you're gay, though, and God said that's an abomination. Well, you ate shrimp yesterday, so you're equally as bad in God's eyes. How about that?
Wow.
Right, because all sin is equal, right? A sin is a sin is a sin.
Y'all dropped it on that. I mean, acknowledge Thorny because she had a very good point, and I'm wrong for narrowly skewing this as far as being a black community thing, because in the hindsight, she is right. There are other communities. This same problem exists in other communities as well. Whites, they shame their gay counterparts as well, their family members, and may hide a molesting uncle or son or brother or whatever as well. And the same with the Asians as well, like you just said, because I know for sure that I've actually spoken to a couple of Korean folks, and they actually shun even like race mixing. You know what I mean? Like, say you had a black guy who went over to Korea and knocked up a Korean lady, so now they had a mixed baby. They don't even claim that mixed baby. You know what I'm saying? That mixed baby is shunned out of the whole community. Like, send them to America. They're no longer Korean. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they actually go further with a whole bunch of different, issues like that. So I'm sure this stuff exists in a variety of different communities as well. So it's not necessarily a quote unquote black problem. And that's what she was pointing out, is that why do we always have to take on or lead the crusade for issues? Why does it have to be a black thing or a black issue?
No, it's not at all just a black problem.
No, I 100% agree with that. I just think here's the difference, right? The reason why I think we're focusing on black people is, here's an example, right? Whenever a police officer kills an unarmed black man, we say Black Lives Matter. What is the immediate response from white people? No, all lives matter.
All lives matter.
Right.
So obviously, what they're saying is don't focus on yourselves. Don't try to make yourselves better. This is everybody, blah, blah, like, you know what I mean? So I think with us just focusing on the black community, I think basically it's because we can fix home before we can fix the world. You know what I'm saying? So Kysii was given an example of his nephew's brother. You know what I mean? That's maybe not necessarily his blood family, but that's still close enough to consider it family. So that's in-house. We can fix that. We can talk to whoever his parents were that instilled that being gay was so evil and all of that. Because what if somebody else in the family comes out? Or do you want the repeat to happen? Like, no, we need to learn how to fix this so that way going forward we know how to handle it better. And I think we can do that amongst our community before we can do that amongst the country, if that makes sense. So that's the only reason I personally am focusing on black people. Just because, yeah, exactly, Thorny, exactly. Because that's their way of saying that your lives don't matter. Let's be real, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. So I think we need to focus on us, get ourselves better, so that way, almost like what they did in Oklahoma back in the 20s with the Black Wall Street.
Right.
How Harlem used to be back in the day. Different things like that. Like, we focus on ourselves, we build ourselves up, build our own communities up, we become better overall, and then we can step out and have that conversation with other cultures in America or whatever. But we need to kind of focus on ourselves first. So that's the only reason I'm focusing on that, Thorny. No disrespect.
Well, I will say this about the molestation part or the weird uncles or creepy uncles. I think it's interesting, and I don't think, and I will say I think that's kind of a prevalent issue regardless of race, right? I think that people have these family members that they are willing to protect to the end, but then they're upset about a gay family member. But I think this is why. I feel like religion is one of those things that most people in America participate in some way, shape, form, or fashion, right? And it's looked at as 70%. Right, so it's looked at as this good, admirable thing, and you have good morals and values. So outwardly, your family is a good Christian family, and these are good Christian kids, or good, well, not all Christian or whatever the religion may be, but these are good kids that go to church and do things in their church and their community, and they're upstanding citizens. And then we're talking, and so then it's about a facade, right? It's perception. So then you don't want your family secrets to come to life, so you're willing to protect this uncle who's molesting these children at all costs in the name of making sure your family still looks like this good, God-fearing family.
Right.
But if somebody comes out as gay, you can all shun them and just be like, we're good Christian people, and we're just doing what the Lord would want us to do.
Right.
So it doesn't tarnish the image in any way for you to shun your gay nephew or your gay son or your gay daughter, but it does tarnish your family image if you have to be like, hey, Uncle Bob is a child molester and he's been touching all the little girls and boys in the family. People would rather keep that a secret than it's insanity. But to look how many people, even with like the whole gay thing, I look at how now it's become, not okay, because obviously these people are still a marginalized group, but now it's more so accepted to be out and be gay, whereas maybe 30 years ago, a lot of us probably have family members that are older than us that were gay, and it just wasn't talked about.
Right.
And I think another thing, too, with the molestation thing, and I just thought of this right now, I don't know, but maybe people chalk up the molestation thing more so to like a mental illness. Like, there's got to be something wrong with him because obviously,
he's not right.
He wouldn't
Just
do
stay
this.
away from him.
Yeah, he's not right in the head. Like, there's something wrong with him. Versus, gay people, like, they think it's a choice. So they're like, you're choosing that. You're choosing to be sinful. Whereas, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Like, because obviously, like, I'm not, like, I can't defend a child molester like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no rationale that I can come up with that makes sense. Like, so I don't get it, but I don't know. Maybe that's because I don't think that's one thing that my family does not have. I don't think we have any chomos in my family. Thank God. I haven't heard about it if we have. But like, I haven't heard about it if you have. But yeah, like there's